R3 and a surprise from Shadbird.
Growing up on the water with fishing in their blood, Matt Arey and Bryan Thrift have spent the last 10 years competing against the biggest names in professional bass fishing. Their success has landed them ranked among the top anglers in the world. If you're looking to become a better angler, then this show has all the answers. Join us and follow along to get actionable tips, tactics, and tried and true techniques directly from the pros. Welcome to Let's Talk Fish.
All right, we back. We live, Jeff?
We are live.
We're live. All right, got the thumbs up. So, got a really cool show tonight. Number one, it's super cool because Thrift's not here. So we'll start off by saying that. And he does have a sick child. I'm sorry. He does have a sick child. And I do hope Cooper, I think it's a little one. I think he said it was Cooper running a fever. I do hope Cooper gets to feeling better.
All right, now he's fair game.
Okay. All right, we're good. And I'm sure he's going to be fine. He's got a cold and a little fever, but I'm sure Cooper will be fine. So now that he's fair game, Anthony Randall said the real deal is what happened to our show last week. Smoke said he would be here with Jeff. Jeff, for lack of any other way to put it, said, I will never do a show with Thrift and myself only again for the rest of my life. So we're just gonna get right down to it. We don't lie on this show. You know that. We give the goods, and that's the goods. Shadbird.
It's not accurate.
Shad, one of our viewers, one of our fans, one of our good old boys, Shadbird, sent us these laser engraved coasters for the studio, which I'm actually using as we speak.
I'm not actually using them because Matt's hogging them.
Jeff,
we had to save one to show. Now we can use it.
Real quick before I introduce our special guest, I want to remind everybody about a really cool charity tournament that's coming up on Lake Wiley. It will be at a Buster Boyd Landing. It is the Christmas for Kids tournament. Several of you guys, I know some of our viewers have fished this tournament in the past, but what this tournament does, and Nikki Hames and her dad George and that crew that puts it on does a heck of a job. Every $100 raised gives Christmas to one child. Every $100 raised gives Christmas to a child that otherwise would not have one. They've already raised almost $1,300, so that's 13 kids right there. Cool. That gets a Christmas that normally would not get one otherwise. So 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. are the hours. It's November 30th. Is that this coming Saturday? Is that?
What's the day?
What is that? What is today? The 20th? The 19th?
Yes.
No, it's a week from Saturday, right? So, yeah, a week from Saturday, November 30th. The Christmas for Kids tournament. Guys, it's for an awesome cause. 7-1 out of Buster Boyd Landing on Lake Wiley. All right. With that being said, don't forget we have our trivia question tonight at the end of the show. Nick, our special guest, Nick Shaver from the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. And I'm going to go ahead and clear the air for you. He's not a game warden, okay?
Right.
He's not a biologist.
Right.
So I'm going to let Nick tell you what his role is with the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. And now he can answer a few biology questions, but we won't get too detailed in the biology subject. But I'm going to let Nick take the mic for a second, tell you exactly what he does, what Angler R3 stands for, and kind of what their path is moving forward. So go ahead, Nick.
So, I'm Nick Shaver, and most people hear North Carolina Wildlife, and they think law enforcement division. They think game wardens. But
I was scared to call you at first because I saw NCWRC, and I'm like, I don't know what we're talking.
I renewed my license just for the heck of it. I got here, just in case.
Yeah.
But we're a big group of folks made up of a bunch of different people, from wildlife management to inland fisheries to land and water access that does our game lands and our boating access areas, habitat conservation, education outreach, customer services, HR, and the whole 9 yards. So we're a big group of people. And hunting and fishing trends are down nationwide. People just aren't going outside quite like they used to. And a lot of conservation agencies nationwide are tackling those challenges by hiring R3 folks. And R3 stands for recruitment, retention, and reactivation.
Okay, so this is a common position among other states.
It's getting that way.
Okay,
it's
that's good to hear.
Yeah, so we're.
We got Mike. Well, Jeff set that up, so let me see.
That's Thrift's. That's not mine. I didn't touch that.
Why is this thing falling on him, Jeff?
I don't know.
What just angle it up. There you go.
There you go.
Right.
So our agency built a team, an R3 team. So we have a hunter R3 specialist, a shooting sports R3 person, a fishing R3 person, that's me, watchable wildlife, and outdoor skills R3 person.
I had no idea y'all had that many in that position. Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing that work, and I just started in October, so it's sort of new to our agency. Our team is brand new. None of the employees on that team are new. We've all been with the agency for quite some time. I've been with the agency almost 18 years. So
okay, I didn't know that. So what did you do before this position?
So immediately before this position, I supervised 4 crews that did all the game lands management work, all the boating access area work, and all the public fishing area work.
Okay, wow.
So we managed the game lands in about 20 counties and all the boat ramps and all the PFAs.
Got you.
And before that, I was in inland fisheries. So my background is in fisheries management. But again, not a biologist.
So let me reemphasize, guys, if you got questions about our North Carolina fisheries, the state that some of them are in, Nick's a good guy to ask. So be sure to shoot those questions in. I'm watching the feed, and I'll get to some of the other questions that are bouncing around here in a little while. But tell us. You and I got to talking before the show. Tell us what state our bass fishing community is in North Carolina right now.
So can I back up even bigger and go nationwide and drop a few statistics on you as to why my position exists? So in 2007, there were 52 million anglers in the United States. Not bass anglers, just anglers, And in 2018, there's 49 million. So that's 3 million less anglers in 11 years. Only 16% of the population fish anymore.
Yeah, it used to be a lot higher.
It used to be a lot higher, yes. Yeah. And in 2018, so this report just came out. There's a group called Recreation Boating and Fishing Foundation that keeps tabs on this stuff. And this report for 2018 just came out. So last year, 9.1 million people quit fishing. They walked away from it for one reason or another. Yeah, it's sort of scary. The good news is 9.4 million started or came back. So that's a thing called churn rate. But when you start getting 9.1 million people leaving a sport, you got to pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's a lot. You think about that because I see a couple questions rolling in. I don't want to interrupt where you're headed, but because Buddy Black, a guy on here, said stock some Florida bass in Moss Lake. Well,
we're going to get to that.
So we're going to get to that here shortly. And those are some of the questions and the comments that I'm looking for on here, guys. I don't think y'all realize who we have in the studio, but his not just the angler deal, but to improve the fisheries as a whole moving forward. I hear all you guys out there, including myself, have complained over the years about why this lake does this or why this lake doesn't do this or why won't the NCWRC do this. Well, now's the time to talk about it. Now's the time to address it. And Nick's job is to address those issues with the NCWRC and make our fisheries better along with keeping anglers fishing. So, did I say that all right?
That's a lot of responsibility you just put on me.
It's a lot of responsibility.
But yeah.
By the way, that's Nick's responsibility, not mine.
We'll be posting his cell phone here in a minute, and he'll take care of everything for you.
That's right. That's right. So,
but yes, my job is to start that conversation, and if I can't answer that question for you or bring that, I can take that topic to the person, the man or woman that does that.
Right.
And that's my job, is to start that conversation, because I think conservation agencies nationwide could do a little bit better listening to the people that are out there in the woods and on the water.
You and I talked about that, and I won't. Okay, I got 3 or 4 questions already popping in here. Yeah. Before I jump into these questions, and I'll start with you, Brian, about the world-class spotted bass fishery. Dang, I'm getting old. I'm just losing my train of thought. I just completely right out the window. So I'm going to go back to Brian's question. Will North Carolina, he wants to know, will North Carolina ever grow a world-class spotted bass fishery like California has? And I feel personally, why we don't, I don't feel like we can sustain a world-class spotted bass fishery. I don't think we can grow 10-pounders like they do. For my own reasons, but I want to hear yours. I want to see if you ever feel like North Carolina can do that.
So, again, I want to reiterate, I'm not
right
about. So this is Nick's opinion, maybe not the wildlife's opinion. My opinion, based on the things that I know, is no. We're not going to grow a world-class spotted bass fishery for one reason and one reason only. We're not California. They have a whole different set of conditions, set of parameters. Their weather's different. Their forage base is different. Even the genetics are different.
That was one of the main reasons. It's almost like deer. You know, when
Yes.
you go to Canada, you're not gonna have those deer in North Carolina. Guys will say, "Well, you let them mature, you will." Well, dude, I've seen plenty of 5-year-old deer in North Carolina, and they don't even make Pope and Young.
Yeah.
So don't argue with me about that. I mean, that's just a fact. Genetics fluctuate throughout fisheries, throughout states, throughout wildlife, all over the country, and you nailed pretty much everything that I would say. Forage is different. Weather conditions are different. Genetics are different. The fisheries department's different. I mean, who knows what they do to those lakes? I mean, they might dump steroids in them. I'm sure they don't, but I'm just saying, you never know.
Sure.
You know, I mean, a 10-pound spotted bass is a very special type of fish, and they're not found but in only one small area, basically in the world. I'm not saying there's not going to be one caught somewhere else, because there might before everybody goes to prove me wrong. But California is a rare breed when it comes to world-class spotted bass, and I mean 8 to 10 pounders. Because I mean, a world-class to me is a 5-pounder, but we live in North Carolina, so
when we have those conversations, like, there's always a reason why you name where you name. Like, why can't you grow them like you do in California, or why can't we make deer from Iowa? You know, There's a reason you name that place as the standard, because they're sort of on the upper end of that curve and that scale. And it's just a matter of all those conditions coming together. Even things like soil make a difference.
100%.
As crazy as that sounds, things like soil make a difference growing fish.
The nutrients that are in everything that fish breathes, eats, lives in, all that makes a difference. Yeah. So Anthony Brooks wants to know, does North Carolina restock our lakes for largemouth? And if not, why?
So some, yes.
Okay.
Not.
Can you tell us which ones or how they decide which ones?
So typically in the past, we have stocked fish to sort of offset a catastrophic event. For example, hurricanes down east come through,
big fatality
rate.
Yeah,
giant fish kills. We stock bass as sort of a reactive measure to those catastrophes.
Right. So basically, y'all don't go to stock largemouth in a Norman or a Wiley or a Hot Rock or something like that on a regular basis unless there's a catastrophe?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right now. Right now.
But that might be something that Nick is pushing for, maybe. Well, I understand population measures, or all that all those statistics come into play. But let's bounce straight into what we were talking about earlier about the genetic strains.
Okay.
And some of the things that would surprise people, because I had a question that said, when is the state going to start stocking Florida strain largemouth in Moss Lake? Well, I don't think Moss would be their number one choice to start with, but you want to talk about that a little bit and kind of what the future might hold for that?
Sure. So I can talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
But I can also strongly recommend that y'all have the man that's responsible for this data, and he's a whole lot more versed. Down the line, come sit here and answer these questions in a few years.
Right.
So we just, as an agency, launched a multi-year bass genetics survey, which is kind of like you see these commercials for Ancestry.com. We're kind of doing that for our bass populations. Figure out where they come from, what their genetics are made up of. And there was a couple questions that we started off asking. One was, and you and I talked about this, where did our spotted bass come from?
Yeah. You and I were talking about that before the show, and all you Norman guys out there that think you know where all these spotted bass come from and what strain they are and all that, listen to this man.
So our Ancestry.com results told us that they come from Alabama. These are Alabama spots, not Kentucky's.
And that is what you told me, which was even more interesting, is all the lakes in North Carolina that have spots now, from y'all sampling, every spot in North Carolina was an Alabama spot, right?
Yes, best of my memory.
Okay.
Yes, almost every one of them was Alabama's.
Based
not
on y'all's
Kentucky's.
testing, your surveys.
Yeah, for some reason, and I'm going to get in trouble, my phone's getting ready to blow up. W. Kerr Scott may be different. For some reason, that's sticking in my
W.
head.
Kerr Scott. Okay.
In Wilkesboro, that
Yep.
little small
Yep.
lake up in
Yep.
Wilkesboro.
Okay.
By and large, though, across the board, those spots are Alabama spots.
Got you. Does North Carolina DNR raise bass year-round like South Carolina does? I'm sure Bryant meant stripers. He spelled strippers, but I don't think South Carolina raises strippers.
think
Well, they probably do raise strippers
I think he
year-round
was. Yeah, that's more of a question for me. I'll say no.
Jeff, you are good for something, aren't you?
I'm from South Carolina, and I have some experience in that area.
Yeah, you better slow down there, Hoss. Lord. All right, so you want to answer that question? Is it wanting to know if the North Carolina DNR raises bass year-round?
So, the answer to that is that's sort of a tricky question. So, in hatcheries, you don't typically raise fish year-round. So, you raise them to a prescribed size, and then you stock them.
Got you.
Out at that, and when you spawn those fish, it depends on when those fish spawn.
Got
You
you.
know, so but we do raise a ton of striped bass out of our Weldon hatchery down in Pender County.
Okay. Stripers.
Yes.
Okay, what about, he's asking largemouth.
So I'm pretty sure, and my hatchery man texted me this question, or the answer to this question. We don't raise any largemouth right now, to my knowledge. We do have some smallmouth that we raise,
Interesting.
but right now I don't think we have any largemouth.
Okay.
Because we want to know the answers to these questions that we set out to learn with this genetics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some risk in stocking fish into a system you don't know how it's going to react to.
Right, yeah. So that's a big deal.
So that's why we started that genetics work. And the other part of that, the first part was where do our spots come from? Second part is, do we have any Florida strain genetics in North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out we got lots of Florida strain genetics. All right, he's texting me back. Yes, apparently we do have some at Watha, largemouth bass, at our fish hatchery in Watha.
So they are raising some largemouth hatchlings.
Yep.
Hatchlings, did I say that right? Hatchlings? Fingerlings.
Fingerlings, yeah.
Hatchling.
Yes.
The heck is a hatchling? Jeff told me that. What was a Jeff word?
So this was an interesting statistic for Florida genes. Like I said, this is the year one in a multi-year survey. We're going to try to look at lots of bass populations. We looked at 23 populations, and how many do y'all think?
Meaning 23 different fisheries?
23 different fisheries, different lakes or rivers.
Okay.
And
this is just sampling largemouth?
Correct.
Okay.
So what do y'all think the number of populations with Florida genetics was?
You mean how many of those 23
Out of 23, yeah.
had Florida genetics?
Yes.
Half of them.
40%.
All of them.
All of them had Florida
Everyone.
genetics. So you and I were talking before the show, and I'm assuming that the only way something like that can happen, and all it takes is a couple, then it snowballs. But these fish, guys that are viewing our show, I'm guilty of it. I don't know if I should say that in front of you and everybody else, transferring fish around. We talked about it before the show, but these fish have been moved around so many times by so many people throughout the years that it doesn't take but a couple fish. I'm sure somebody's been to Florida or South Carolina or Santee Cooper. Cooper's got they got F1s, if I'm not mistaken. They got some 100% Florida strain largemouth down there.
So we actually had on our coast some 100% Florida largemouth.
Now,
Very few, but we did find some that were Florida.
Was
largemouth.
that down towards like Elizabeth City?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was back not the Chowan River.
I don't know which system exactly, but I do know that there were some Florida. And this is Nick's theory. This is not Wildlife Commission's theory. Nick's theory is that where you got alligators, you're gonna have Florida bass. They may have co-evolved through time.
Huh.
That's just my
interesting.
theory.
Well, everywhere I've seen alligators. Well, I don't know. I've seen them at Seminoles, Florida bass. Seen them at Eufaula in Alabama. That's probably got some Florida bass in it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that everywhere I've been.
But that's a sort of a rabbit hole.
I just see, excuse me. I just see from Gene. He said Asian carp ? We have not seen nor heard of an Asian carp anywhere in our state as of yet, right?
Thank God.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just clearing that up there.
But that's the Asian carp is a good example. It's on the far end of the spectrum, but it's a good example of why you shouldn't move fish. Somebody thought that we needed those, and they brought them here, and then they moved them to another place. And
they started, if I'm not mistaken, in the Illinois River. And then they started working their way down to Ohio and to the Cumberland, the Tennessee, and then now Kentucky Lake is suffering drastically because of it. But you and I were talking about that before, about moving fish around, and tell everybody why it's not a good idea to move fish around.
Well, because it's Russian roulette, number one. You don't know if you're going to help a place or you're going to hurt it.
Well, and that's what some of our viewers are sitting there thinking, well, so-and-so lake's been improved because people brought spotted bass in there. Well, that probably is true, but like what Nick's emphasizing is that more oftentimes than not, and I'm not going to say it might be a 50-50 split. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it hurts. We're not biologists, so we don't know exactly what state the fisheries are in, and I want you to tell me exactly what you told me about Lake James. So everybody that's familiar with Lake James in western North Carolina has a great population of big smallmouth in it, and has for years and years and years, and that's what it's been known for. Some people call it Dead Sea. That's just, it's tough to catch the suckers 9 months out of the year, but
they're there.
But they're there, absolutely.
And big uns.
So why introducing spotted bass to a predominantly smallmouth fishery, or a really phenomenal smallmouth fishery, why is that a bad idea? Because I didn't know this.
So what we're finding with this genetics work is that spotted bass will interbreed with smallmouth bass.
Hence the mean mouth.
Yep, that's how you get mean mouth.
And they are quite successful when they do it, right?
Yes.
Smallmouth and spots, when they get together, do their thing, they're very successful crossbreeding.
So you got two things going on there. You got a really, really, really hyper productive fish in the spotted bass. They're good at what they do. They're good at making spotted bass. Plus, you also got some crossbreeding with smallmouth.
Somebody told me one time a spot was just as successful, if not more successful, than a crappie at spawning their young and raising them.
I don't,
as far as numbers.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. They're good at what they do.
You say crappie, you don't say crappie, do you?
Oh yeah, man, I'm from here.
Okay, you say crappie. All right, just making sure. All right, we've had some weirdos, before it say crappie, and I don't know what they're talking about.
I'm from here.
All right, go ahead.
But that we're starting to see, or our biologists are starting to see, more and more and more and more spotted bass, and they just showed up a few years ago in our surveys, and we're seeing hybrids, and there's a really good chance that the smallmouth population is going to go away in Lake James.
I mean, it take years and years for it to go completely away, but you could definitely see it going away because you're going to have all the crossbreeding, and it's just going to slowly eliminate that pure strain smallmouth.
And that is sad. And what people, you hear, well, why don't wildlife do something about it? But there is not a magic pill. There is nothing you can do. There's no chemical you can put in the water. You can't drain the lake. And even if Duke Energy would let us pull the plug on the lake, there's still a river that runs through that lake that those fish are going to live in.
You can't completely dry it up and eliminate everything.
So it's just roulette. So, I mean, if there's one message for biology that I could spread is don't move fish around. Because you may end up doing more harm than good, and you may make a pretty good smallmouth fishery go away.
Yeah.
Like in Lake James.
And what I found so interesting about what Nick said is how successful a spot and a smallmouth can cross, but how a spot and a largemouth will cross, because I've seen them on the bed paired up together, but they don't seem to be as successful as a smallmouth and spot when they try to do it. So I don't know why that is. I mean, I could give my assumption and say a spot and a smallmouth are 3 times meaner than a largemouth. I think they're 3 times more protective. I think they're 3 times more aggressive. So
not a bad theory.
Well, I mean, I would just assume that they're more successful because I just know this: when I throw a bait in a smallmouth bed or a spots bed, he's a heck of a lot more willing to bite than a largemouth.
Yep,
9 times out of 10, I can catch him in 4 or 5 casts, but the largemouth might take me 30 minutes and a few gray hairs and this, that, and the other. But yeah, the smallmouths and spots are definitely overall just a more aggressive fish.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention Chateau. That's a great example of spots taking over and removing smallmouth from a pretty good smallmouth fishery. Chateau used to be
their smallmouth numbers have really declined.
They're all but gone. Yeah,
they're
all but gone.
Yeah, and
there's still some persisting, but it's not
like it used to
not what it once was.
All right, I saw a question here earlier. I may not be able to get back to it or find it, but they wanted you to circle back to how we're getting our youth more involved in the fishing in the state of North Carolina, what the plan is moving forward to recruit more of our younger generation and get them involved. And I know what Bass does. I know what FLW does. There's a lot of options there, but what's our state doing to do more of that?
That's a great question. So for years and years, our agency has done recruitment efforts. That's not anything new. We have education centers and we have one education center that is solely for fishing education. All our biologists, our fish biologists, hold fish for fun events in the spring.
Now, is that in Raleigh?
It's in Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
John Peckman Fishing Education Center is in Fayetteville. It's named after a former Commissioner Peckman.
It's funny you said that. I had a guy call me that I think maybe runs that center about a year or two ago about coming down there and possibly speaking about. I never heard back from him, but he had reached out to me about coming down there and speaking.
There you go.
Maybe that was like a recruitment program, or maybe it was a retainment program. I'm not sure what it was for. We spoke briefly.
So they do both there.
Okay.
They do. So like a bass fishing seminar would definitely fall under retainment. Somebody that's already fishing wants to learn more about it and get better at it. That's a retainment sort of seminar.
Okay.
But so we're already doing some youth outreach and some youth events and some retainment seminars, but one man taking on a whole state worth of recruitment, retention, and reactivation. The only way I'm going to be successful is to build partnerships. So my goal is to build partnerships with people that are already in the fishing business. BASS, MLFLW, TU, Trout Unlimited, CCA, and get these people energized and figuring out how we can work together as a state agency to get people introduced to fishing. Work with people like the YMCA, after school programs. Boys and Girls Clubs of America. There's 68,000 kids in Boys and Girls Clubs of America in North Carolina. That's a pretty big number of kids.
Absolutely.
That's a big target audience for recruitment.
So y'all will try to do maybe some kid fishing days with them, local ponds, lakes, bank fishing, stuff like that?
So again, one person probably can't do enough events to make a dent and make a difference. But what I can do is I can arm those people in those programs with the equipment and the knowledge and the resources they need to teach those kids. Show them places they can take those kids fishing. And then turn them loose to do the recruitment work. But keep them armed with the resources they need. That's the kind of partnership that I'm talking about. And we've got some folks. So I went to our agency, the Wildlife Commission, hosted a fishing and boating industry summit 2 weeks ago, where we invited North Carolina-based companies that are manufacturers or retailers in the fishing and boating industry. And that was an effort to sort of kickstart some of those partnerships. And I met some fantastic folks at that are going to help. They're really fired up about getting on board. One of those people is Cash and Rods. I did not know until recently that that's a North Carolina-based company. They're not only made in America, they're made right here in Sanford, North Carolina. And they're excited about helping us get some equipment in kids' hands that need it.
That's cool. So, somebody mentioned that earlier about, they say y'all need to take, Texas does the best in the U.S. with their wildlife fisheries department. Well, Texas also has millions and millions and millions of dollars dumped into that program. So,
sure.
And I can vouch they have some really large sponsors. Toyota's one of the big sponsors that actually helps that share lunker program down there. That breeding facility is absolutely amazing. So funding is part of the reason. That we don't have a share lunker program and a breeding facility, because you're talking about millions of dollars that,
no doubt,
we have to find sponsors. We have to get help. We got to get more people fishing. License sales, that's where a lot of the funding comes from, So that's interesting. You mentioned that. I want to touch on that if we got time. What, the license deal?
Funding.
Oh, yeah, funding. Yeah, absolutely. Before you roll into funding, Jason Poindexter, this goes back to getting the youth involved. Wants to know if the NCWRC is actively involved in trying to introduce bass fishing in the middle and the high school levels, because it's getting really big in our state. There's a lot of high school teams that have a lot of high schools that have fishing teams now. Kids are actively traveling and getting competitive and whatnot. So go ahead.
The short answer is yes. The long answer is, so I just started in this job October 1, but that is high on my list of things to do. I reached out to the representative from BASS that's in charge of the high school fishing folks, and also I haven't done enough research to know what MLF FLW is going to do in that world yet, but I reached out to the rep that was with FLW in the high school fishing this week. So I just made that contact this week. So that's something we definitely want to get involved with as an agency. Is high school fishing.
High school fishing.
I live in Marion, North Carolina, and McDowell High just started a team, and my gosh, man, they turned out a ridiculous amount of boats at a tournament just 2 weekends ago. Yeah. So it's big.
Yeah, no, high school fishing is exploding, and it's taking a hold in our community here locally. Matter of fact, buddy of mine, Carter, and his partner Micah just finished 5th.
I saw that.
Congrats to them boys in a tournament down in South Carolina. I think there was over like 125 boats in that tournament, maybe 150 boats, and they came away with a top 5 finish. So awesome. Must have been all them tips you gave them, Jeff.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So anyway,
Carter go way back.
Yeah, big shout out to Carter and Micah for their top 5 finish. Carter called me on the way home from a tournament. They were stoked, man. But hey, that's just the first of many. They got a bright future ahead of them. But all right, so get down. Tony Lawson said, didn't they stock them in Norman by mistake? Oh, he was replying, talking about the perch. So that's a good question. And like you said, you're not a biologist, but do you know white perch, negative, positive, what kind of effect they have on a fishery, or how they even got into a couple of our fisheries?
So that is a good rumor to dispel. That the Wildlife Commission did not stock white perch.
Okay.
To my knowledge, we never have, but we did not move those into places like Norman and Hickory and Lord Everywhere.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of places that have them.
As far as the effects, it seems like there is a correlation between white perch showing up and white bass disappearing.
Okay.
And there was some talk. I don't remember where this ended up falling out, but it seemed like they had some negative impacts on crappie populations also.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the mechanics of that, like why that is, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of negative feedback from just about the white perch in general.
There's a lot of theories that they eat
very
eggs.
invasive. Yeah,
they eat
eaters.
eggs.
Yep.
And fry. They eat fry.
Yep.
Plus, they're competing for the same forage base. They're eating shad too. So
right.
More mouths to feed. The worse it is for a fishery.
Yeah,
so.
they and they're tasty little critters from what I understand. So anybody that hasn't had white perch, they need to go out there and catch as many as they can and take them home. But
fry some of them dudes.
That's right. John Long wanted to know where can you get the fishing population numbers, and can you get them by state? Do you have an online resource for that? Or
yes, so that's a good segue to that. Hopefully,
that's talking about the biologist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to encourage everybody to do, whether you're in North Carolina or in any other state, is reach out to your local fish biologist.
Jeff's going to drop that in the feed or post it up or do something. What are you going to do with it, Jeff?
It's actually live on the show right now.
Oh, it's live on the show now.
I'll leave it up for a little bit.
Okay.
So then I'll also post it in the group after, so it can be
very cool. So what that's going to show y'all is there's 9 regions, 9
Yes,
districts in
we
the
have 9
state.
districts.
Biologist and an assistant biologist for every district.
That's correct.
And the numbers will be listed on there. If you have questions, especially about the white perch, things like that, guys, reach out to your local biologist and get some answers. And that way we can all, we can move forward that way.
Most of these surveys and this work we do is driven by anglers. Believe it or not, anglers reach out and say, "Hey, I'm seeing this," or "Hey, I'm experiencing this. What do you think?" And that sometimes will kick off a survey, and we learn stuff from that. So, but those people want to hear from you. We need your input. We want to hear what y'all need from us, rather than us just telling you what you need all the time.
You and I had a good conversation on the phone the other day when we first talked, and it revolved around when the biologist and or the NCWRC, whoever's responsible for placing fish habitat, man-made fish habitat in our lakes, and guys can attest to this, I'm sure. It's not. It's correct me if I'm wrong. Who's actually sinking it? Who's actually putting it in the lakes?
So
I've ran into some of these guys before. That's why I'm asking.
Yep. So we do have a habitat program within the Wildlife Commission. It falls under inland fisheries, and they sink a lot of structures.
Right.
That particular project you and I talked about on the phone.
Yep.
I did some research. That was the lake manager in that particular.
That explains a lot of it.
That was not us.
Okay. So interesting. And is that because that's a city lake, a city-owned lake? The state still regulates that lake.
So that's sort of funny. Not funny, but sort of. It depends on the body of water as to who writes the rules. So the Wildlife Commission is responsible for the fish and wildlife resources.
No matter who owns the lake.
Not the water, yes.
Within the state.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Now, does that body of water have to be a certain size? Because, there's a lot of private ponds on everybody's property.
Sure. Well,
same type situation. If you got a city lake like Moss, which is a couple thousand acres or whatever, then Joe Schmo over here has a 250-acre lake on his property. Y'all aren't going to go over there and regulate his lake.
That's correct.
But okay, so
I
guess it has to be a public access lake.
Yes.
So that's city
answer.
lake, but you and I can get on if we pay a fee.
That's right.
Got you. Okay.
And we do tons of habitat work all across the state. But your question was, why don't y'all get some input on the placement of these things? Because my God, these attractors are below the thermocline.
Right.
They're useless. You throw a lot of money into the water that's going to do no good.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right. We need input on those things. We need people to sit down with us and put dots on maps and say, "Hey, I want a fish attractor right here."
Well, and what you and I talked about was how key depth zones on particular. If you go to a guy who's fished Lake Norman for 25 years. Or let's just say my buddy Hank Cherry, who's a very accomplished elite angler, knows how the fish act in Norman as well as anybody.
Yeah.
Well, when the NCWRC makes 75 new fish habitats and they go out there and they sink them in 75 locations, there needs to be somebody on that boat before they go drop it in 47 feet of water. Something, not that they would do that, but you know what I'm saying. There's going to be a guy that got a lot of fishing knowledge and experience on a fishery, knows what depth, typically a range.
Yes.
If it's going to be a deep structure, it needs to be 18 to 23 or 14 to 18 or something like that. So because you just don't want to, because the NCWRC makes a lot of really cool fish habitat, and I've seen some of it. I've seen it on my side scan. I've seen them put it in. I've seen it on my down scan. I've caught fish off of it.
Yeah.
But when you go out there, you do all that work and you spend all that money, you need to be as efficient as you can.
You're 100% right.
So. And my biggest thing is like you and I were talking about, is making sure, and I know this is what you're going to be pushing for, making sure that those 75 fish habitat structures that they made are put in not only the right areas, because Norman, anywhere on the lake can hold a fish. Mm-hmm. It's just the right depth ranges.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
There are some sidebars to that, and again, it depends on who owns the lake. Like Duke Energy,
yeah,
they they put some sidebars on, like you can't put a fishing tractor in 8 foot of water on Lake.
Okay,
Norman.
so
You just
they
can't do it.
restrict it to a
Yeah,
certain.
yeah.
And I can understand that for safety reasons and
right.
liability and.
Right.
Yep.
But we can put them in effective ranges, and we do need input. And that's so when you made that statement, like, why don't y'all call Hank Cherry? I don't know how to get a hold of Hank Cherry. So that's why we need y'all.
You do now.
I do. Yeah, right.
You do now.
Exactly. Now we got a resource. We need y'all
And
to,
I'm sure
to
Hank,
say, hey, I'm interested in helping.
Oh, hey, what tournament angler's not interested in helping
Exactly.
y'all put structure out all over a lake?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I've got, as far as that resource, we can definitely help there. You know, we got plenty of contacts, plenty of guys that would be interested in going out there and at least saying, look, you know, from June to August at High Rock Lake, I typically always catch fish in 8 to 13 foot of water.
Yep.
You know, or whatever it is.
Yep.
I'm just throwing that out there, guys. Don't yell at me if that's wrong. So, but yeah, you know, something just getting it going on the right path, the right direction to make sure it is efficient and effective once it is placed.
One place that has worked recently, last year, was on Sharon Harris.
Okay.
We have a huge habitat project going on at Sharon Harris.
Interesting.
And it's been a collaboration between the Bass Pack from NC State University, NC BASS, Wake County Parks and Rec, Carolina Kayak Anglers,
Yep.
Duke Energy, and local fishing guides and volunteers. And so one of our biologists has gone around and tried to contact as many people as he can, like I said, to put dots on a map.
Yeah.
So this is where y'all need to focus. This part of the lake is good. This depth range is good.
Well,
I think
that's good, but those depth ranges are more important than areas because any area of any lake in North Carolina can hold bass at any given time based on, you know, there's not any dead water, so to speak, in most of our lakes. I mean, there's places that fish favor more than others, but if you can improve the habitat in one area, they're gonna be. It just that depth range to me is so important. You know, if you drop it in 35 feet of water on a lake where fish never get deeper than 25, what good is that? Yeah. But no, I think y'all are definitely on the right track. Going back to the F1 deal, Tony Lawson had a good question here, and I didn't know this. He said he was told in Tennessee there's a geographical line as far north as they would stock our lakes with F1s. Does North Carolina follow the same rule? Now, I've never heard that rule before, and I'm not sure why, because I feel like there's some Florida strain largemouth way further north than here. Now, I'm not sure on that.
So
I don't
I don't know the answer to that specifically either.
Okay.
I think now I'm going to get outside of my wheelhouse in a hurry.
I want to know,
when we
Tony, who
start
told
talking
you
about
that, too.
genetics.
Was it a resource officer, or who was that?
But there's some confusion, I think, in the bass world about what an actual F1 is. And an F1 bass hybrid is a Florida strain largemouth, a northern largemouth, having offspring. So you take one female, one male.
That's what a true F1 is?
That is an F1.
Okay.
And it only happens one time. Because once those fish spawn and their children spawn, they're no longer F1s.
Got you.
And so that's the tricky thing about just stocking Florida genetics. You know, if there's already Florida genetics here, you're not going to get that impact of a pure Florida strain spawning with a pure northern strain to make an F1.
Okay. Interesting. I did not know that. So, jumping off the he said it was a resource officer that told him that.
Yeah, I do not know that.
So that's interesting. We'll have to do a little research there, Tony. Vegetation, getting a lot of vegetation questions. Kyle said, "Let's talk vegetation."
Let's do it.
I had a couple questions about, the spraying of grasses. A lot of people are just curious as how. I did see a question earlier about Norman, which has a hefty population of. Actually, I've seen eelgrass in there. You know all about that too. So I've seen eelgrass in there. I've seen several different types of grasses in Norman over the last couple of years. What's the commission's plan on controlling them and or spraying them and or letting them bloom in certain areas and trying to keep them under control? Because as a fisherman, you're not an anti-grass guy, I'm sure, because you're a fisherman.
That's correct.
But none of us want to see a whole lake like Norman or somewhere taken over by it. Although, would it be good for the fish? Yes. But come on, guys. I mean, we got to be realists here. There's a lot of people that live on those lakes. You can't. I have seen what hydrilla and stuff will do to a fishery too.
Sure.
A residential fishery. I mean, a highly populated fishery. But go ahead, Nick, on vegetation.
I can't speak for other states on this because I'm just not knowledgeable about other states. But in North Carolina, the Wildlife Commission doesn't necessarily control non-native invasive plants in the water, such as hydrilla. That falls under Division of Water Resources, what used to be Division of Water Quality.
Okay.
They do that. We have a very robust vegetation program where we plant a ton of native vegetation. So we have a nursery facility that's dedicated to growing native aquatic vegetation. A lot of you guys probably don't know that.
Can you name some of those?
Absolutely,
vegetations?
yeah. So water willow, maiden cane, pickerel weed, soft stem bulrush, spatterdock, water lilies, water shield, tape grass, eelgrass, pondweed.
Eelgrass.
Yeah.
So can I go as far to say eelgrass popped up in Norman because of y'all, or because of somebody else?
So that patch of eelgrass was not because of us.
Okay.
It's sort of an anomaly too. It's going really deep.
Oh no, the one I saw was in like 3 foot of water.
So there's one. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
So there's one that's really
we need to talk. We need to talk. There ain't just one patch of eelgrass in Lake Norman right now.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk.
And I don't. I mean, Lake Murray's got some in it.
Yeah.
There's several lakes around here that have mysteriously gotten eelgrass in it.
So my buddy that's texting me and I made a trip to Stick Marsh and Farm 13.
Yeah.
I want to talk fishing for a little bit.
All right.
That's all right. I fell in love with eelgrass in Farm 13. My God, man. I had never
eelgrass
fished
can be
anything like
pretty
that
amazing
before, and it was just a totally different game. If you grow up fishing around here, you go down there, you know all about it. I mean, it's just a different game.
It is 100%, and it will change the whole dynamic of a fishery. Water willow, it's in Baden. So okay, that's a good question. So a lot of the Yadkin River system has a lot of water willow in it. Is that did y'all introduce that?
We do plant a ton of water willow.
So y'all still introduce water willow in a lot of the North Carolina lakes
Absolutely,
and fisheries? Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't know how that... So water willow is obviously... It only grows out to a certain depth. So it's easy.
Correct.
It controls itself.
That's right.
Am I right in saying that?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So...
And it grows kind of slow, to be honest with you.
Got you.
We planted some on road hiss 10 years ago that's... The patch isn't any bigger than this room.
Pretty sure people want to get back to the eelgrass conversation y'all were having.
No, we're not. What I'm saying, coordinates, please. If you got a boat, you do just like us. I didn't have somebody give me the coordinates. I actually just randomly stumbled across it. Look, you and I were out there fishing one day.
Yeah.
And we stumbled across a patch of it, and there was a couple bass sitting in it.
Yeah.
I bet.
Needless to say, there was a couple bass sitting in it. But yeah, there's I don't know where the eelgrass is in Norman. That was like a year ago. I don't know where it stands now. If it's still in there, I'm sure it is. I don't see why anybody would go kill eelgrass. If they did, they're probably going straight to hell. But that's my 2 cents. Anyway, all right. So we were talking about eelgrass and the water willow. So y'all do raise and consistently introduce water willow along with all the other vegetation. So
yes.
I wasn't even familiar with like half the ones you just named.
Yeah. You probably are when you see them.
Well,
you probably,
maybe.
Yeah, I fished that.
So there's a lot of different type bank grasses. So water willow, I've called it canary grass, but is that 2 different ones, or is canary grass, is that water willow?
It's different.
It's different, yeah. So see, I'm an idiot. So
it's close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
You're gonna get. You ask like half another question, and you're gonna get out of my expertise area.
Okay, all right. I'll stop there. Evan White said Lake Gaston also has gotten some eelgrass in a few areas.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good to
So
know.
there's a robust. Matter of fact, one of my bullet points on my page is Gaston Vegetation Project. That's from our aquatic habitat coordinator. So, yeah, there's a lot of work going into Gaston.
And you wanted to get back to sponsors. Weren't you talking about sponsors and stuff?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about funding.
Yep, the funding. That's right. I guess sponsors funding.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one other company that I met at that fishing and boating summit that really is excited about getting kids fishing, and that's they're on the other end of the spectrum. It's Davison River Outfitters in Brevard. They're helping us put fishing equipment in kids' hands that deserve it.
That's cool. That is cool.
And them and Cashin are partnering with us on a particular event where we're targeting kids that are in children's homes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That the chances of somebody taking them fishing is not
slim.
real high, except the counselors and the teachers at that home.
Right.
So we're working on a project involving those folks. So pretty close to my heart, that group of kids. So
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And we're excited to have those people working with us.
Shadbird said all this is way over my head.
Me too, Shadbird. Me too.
Any updates on stocking red drum and Hyco? Did that proposal ever make any headway? Do you know anything about that proposal?
I know a little bit about it.
Okay.
I know that we got some fish, attempted to change them from the saltwater into the freshwater that's in Hyco.
Yep.
And the mineral content in Hyco didn't work. So there are places that I think Texas is doing it, stocking red drum and some freshwater reservoirs. But the mineral content...
100% freshwater?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But there's a certain water chemistry, again, the California,
it's a biology
Texas
question.
thing.
Yeah, but you're still, even without the chemistry numbers, you're still teaching me something here. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so
I didn't even know a redfish could live in 100% fresh water.
Yeah, there was
Louisiana.
There's a particular
that ain't 100%
Some
fresh water.
places it is.
I mean, it's still got some salt, some salinity in it. It's still got some salt content.
Yeah.
Well, that's more than Moss Lake. That's my point. Like, could you throw a redfish in Moss Lake and it live?
Potentially. Let's try it.
You know, bull sharks. Never mind. I'm getting off.
You trying to tell me
chasing
there's bull
rabbits.
sharks in Moss Lake?
No. There's bull sharks that actually migrate way up rivers to spawn. Pretty interesting. Yeah, you ought to Google that sometime, Jeff.
I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my phone right now, but I will.
So my buddy's giving me a hard time, and deservedly so, about we need help with the fish attractor deal. He's like, hey man, we got guys that know how to fish too. So that's another point.
See, that's the problem. Everybody's a pro nowadays. Everybody's a pro. I'm just messing.
Well, the point I want to make is that we love it as much as y'all love it. We're out there.
We're all passionate.
We're
about
all
the same
chasing
thing.
these critters on the weekend.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I'm leaving tonight to go chase speckled trout with inland fishery staff.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're all taking a few days off and going to go chase trout. So we love it. I mean, we got guys that fish weekend tournaments, hardcore bass anglers, hardcore trout guys, hardcore cat fishermen. I mean, we love it like y'all do. So it's not just a job; it's a labor of love that we do with y'all.
Yeah, no, and we do appreciate everything that y'all do, and I think this position that you're in, along with all the other R3 specialists. So the hunting R3 deal is something I mean, I'm not going to do that to all our viewers because they don't like it when I get to talking deer hunting. But I'd like to pick his brain about a few things too. So does Bugs Island, does Carr Lake have red drum? I don't think it does, but okay, you want to verify that for me?
Negative.
Ernie said there is still some salt in the water where the Reds live in Louisiana, Jeff. My point was there's salt in that water. Okay, we didn't talk about
more salt on your
0.0001%.
dinner that night.
Well, I don't salt my food, but anyway, that's beside the point. All right, let's see. Let's jump on down. We got time for maybe one or two more questions, and then Nick's got a good trivia question for y'all tonight. We'll be giving away a BASS membership.
Please don't give the answer away.
I'm not going to give the answer away. I'm going to do my best not to get. I shouldn't even have it written down in front of me because
it's
I'm going to
just a matter of time.
I'm just going to accidentally read it. Okay, so you were talking about some of the other states that have the. This was a good question from Shadbird. He said, "Does Ohio have somebody in the R3 angler deal? Do you know what states have the same program that you're in now, or the same position that you're in now, or you just know some of them have it?" Yeah. So Shadbird, that's just something to look up And I just love saying his name, Shadbird.
I do too.
Shadbird.
It's awesome.
He just look it up on your local resource commission page. I'm sure that all the positions, probably like ours, are listed on there somewhere.
Yeah, you'll be able to find it. Sometimes it's buried, but you can find it.
Probably be contact numbers on there too.
Yes.
Yeah, some of those are probably real berries.
You got answers starting to roll in.
Got answers starting to roll in. Bryant, we have not picked a place to go deer hunting yet. We're still looking. I saw Canterbury was like in Indiana the other day posting videos of him hunting in Indiana, but Matt was still in North Carolina, so I was a little confused on all the posting that Scott was doing. But no, I'm just giving Canterbury a hard time. Let's see. Ernie Wallace said, well, you're talking flounder. You're not a flounder specialist, are you?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's not a biology question. He said, why can't a recreational angler can't keep a flounder in North Carolina while the commercial fisherman can? You know anything about that?
A
little bit.
Okay. Because I'm a recreational saltwater angler. I was down there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you're getting ready to go speck fishing
and
here.
threw a 3-pounder back.
Woo!
Yeah. So we don't regulate saltwater fish. Those regulations are set by Division of Marine Fisheries. It's a totally different group of government.
That's all federally regulated.
No, that's a state. It's
still
a state branch of
Okay.
government. Yeah, but it's just a different regulating body. There's a line on the coast where their jurisdiction begins and ours stops, and vice versa. So,
do you know if you know where's that line? Just out of curiosity, roughly, is it? I mean, you got to get offshore, or
no. I'm going to get outside of my wheelhouse.
Okay, no, you don't have to answer because you don't want to be wrong, and then somebody's down there keeping flounder.
Exactly. No.
Nick Shaver said I was inside the boundary. I can keep whatever I want.
I really
don't know where that jurisdictional line is.
Yep. All right, so the salinity of the water will move the reds around, Ernie said. So that's good. That's good to say. All right. Patches O'Houlihan, 1984. That's 100% the incorrect answer to our trivia question, Mark, but good try. Yeah, so I saw this comment a bunch. Scott Martin going to bass, so he made a little announcement today that he's going to be fishing the Opens next year. I had 5 or 6 people on here. We wanted to have a big conversation with Nick because I thought that was a lot of really cool information that you let everybody know about, and I was learning a lot too by sitting here listening to you and chatting before the show. But on the subject of Scott going to bass, I do think it's a pretty awesome move, a very respectable move. Scott told me a couple weeks ago on the phone that he's kind of to a point that he's chasing what his heart tells him to do. He's chasing what he's passionate about. He's chasing and that is to go fish the elites, fish a Bassmaster Classic, win an elite tournament, win the Bassmaster Classic, win the BASS Angler of the Year title. He's accomplished everything a man can accomplish at FLW. I think it's I support his decision 100%. So, but anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty awesome. To follow him fishing the Opens next year in 2020. He's obviously got an awesome YouTube channel already. But if you're not following Scott, I think most of our viewers do follow Scott's YouTube channel. So
he's about 475,000 strong. So
yeah, I was going to say he's close to
probably
half a million subscribers. Yeah, probably so. All right, so let's answer one more question.
Hang on, Andy Baker, absolutely trout, crushing it right now. Send me a private Facebook message and I will put you on something. Okay.
Got you. He's getting ready to go trout fishing, and you're sitting here getting ready to throw out GPS coordinates.
I didn't say that. He just asked if
okay.
I got you, Andy. Just
where are you going trout fishing?
New Bern area.
Yeah. Okay. He's more familiar with the. Actually, know where Jeff sucks at fishing, but that's beside the point.
Me too. Me too.
We still love you, buddy. Jeff's on the no shave. Are you no shave November, or you sporting the beard?
I'm on
round?
No shave adulthood.
Yeah, Jeff,
I've never not had a beard.
Jeff is. I've had one probably for about 15 years now. So I am shaving though, but Jeff is on the no shave November deal, and I'm kind of digging it, dude. Like you might actually have more colors in your beard than I do.
You like that, don't you?
Maybe.
It's probably going to be a good 3 or 4 months before I touch it.
See, my white's like spotted. Like I look like a dang Dalmatian or something. And you've got, at least your white and silver is kind of all centralized in one area.
You only charge $10 extra to get it like that.
I don't think whoever's dyeing your beard, you probably ought to, get your money back maybe. I think it's pretty cool.
It's
though.
tough.
But yeah,
It's hard looking like this.
It's hard. It's hard work looking that good, ain't it?
Thank you, Shadbird.
Steven, not gonna bite. He said, Matt, what's the answer to the trivia question tonight?
It's a matter of time.
All right.
We all know it's a matter of time, so just keep listening.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to thank you for being here, Nick. I'm gonna tell you thanks again, man. This
Thank
was
some
y'all.
awesome information.
very
Man,
interesting show. So guys, reach out to Nick. If you have questions, reach out to Nick. If we need to drop his. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I'll leave my contact information with these guys, but in the short run, it's Nick NICK .shaver SHAVER at ncwildlife.org. Shoot me an email.
You want? Can you type that in there, Jeff? Nick. Why are you looking at me like I'm stupid?
Because I don't have a phone.
Well, you
Nick's
got a
my
keyboard?
phone.
I've got his phone.
This doesn't-
Oh, well, there you go, Nick.
This
Just
doesn't
type
type.
where it says write a comment.
I've ordered like
Type in your email address.
I've been
Sorry.
on Amazon
We're a
the
little
whole time.
backwards
This
here.
is just reading. This is not typing.
Do you hear Nick? He said he ain't been watching the show. He's been on
I've
Amazon
been
ordering all
ordering
kinds of
stuff
stuff. Jeff probably is a Prime member. You probably get it all tomorrow at
Oh,
your
I can
doorstep.
promise you, it's probably on the doorstep already.
All right. Drew said he's headed. Hey, what's up, Drew? He said he's heading to Shelby now to meet up with KG. We are going to eat afterwards, Drew. Grab
We are.
KG, come up to Pleasant City, and Nick and I are going to have some dinner up there. Y'all, we'll hit you up after the show, man. But all right, so trivia question time. So just for the record, I am not in charge of the trivia question. If the answer is incorrect, it's Nick's fault. If the question's screwed up, it's Nick's fault.
Just so you know, he's already given the answer away twice.
I have not. So this is for Nick. Just dropped his email, by the way, down there, guys. If you got any questions for Nick, please reach out to him. Got any questions about getting the youth involved, high school programs, middle school fishing?
if you want to partner with us,
If you want to partner with them,
holler at me, please.
yeah, y'all be sure to reach out to Nick. What they're doing is pretty awesome, and hopefully it's only going to get better from here on out. All right, so trivia question time. Nick, I'm going to let Nick ask it. The Jeff is in charge. First person to answer correctly.
Please just be careful.
What?
Normally, this is where the answer comes out.
This is where it gets squirrely.
Wins a BASS membership. All right, so here we go. I'm going to turn it over to Nick. I'm going to shut up before I give the answer away.
So back to our genetics testing. When the college kids, the BASS college kids, had their tournament on Norman, we collected largemouth bass genetics material. Doesn't kill the fish, just take a little fin clip. We did the Ancestry.com survey, genetics work. What percentage of Lake Norman largemouth bass genes were Florida strain?
So what percentage of Lake Norman largemouth
Bass genes.
were
Florida
Florida
strain.
strain? What percentage? And
It's a percentage between 1 and 100%.
yeah, that's right. It's not zero.
It's
That
not
was
It's
for
not
Matt.
100.5.
That was for Matt to understand, not y'all.
There were Florida genetics in Lake Norman,
Yep. So
largemouth.
yeah, so it's not a trick question, y'all. There definitely were Florida genetics in Lake Norman, and that stems back to we were talking about. Where did they come from?
Man,
I mean, people just threw some in there, obviously.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah. I mean, years and years ago, our hatchery just went and got fish wherever they could get them, and genetics was not even a thought in anyone's mind. We didn't know genetics, 100 years ago, and so who knows? A man could have gone down to South Georgia and grabbed him a truckload of bass from X hatchery down there and brought them up here.
Yep.
Who knows?
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
impossible to say.
That's why you go back to saying don't screw with the fisheries. Let them be.
Don't move fish around.
We're gonna round that.
Exactly.
We're gonna round that off, by the way, Jeff, so they don't have to do
Okay.
a point something.
All right. Well, we already got it. I was getting ready to ask that question.
Okay.
So we already have a winner. We had a winner quick.
We had a winner.
Oh,
If we're
wow.
rounding it, yes.
Nice.
I gotta find it. They're coming in so fast.
I missed it.
it might be one up from that because you got to round up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well then, yeah. Okay. Then we don't have a winner.
Right? If
Yeah, we're rounding
0.5,
up.
You round up. Okay. You like how I did that? I said 0.5 and you round up, but I didn't give the answer.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at this thing. I'm getting better at this, not giving it away. 1 to 100, not acceptable answer, Billy, but good try. I see some really, really, really close ones.
And if y'all see one too, because this comes in so fast on this.
Yep. Buddy, why don't you just count from 1 to 100? I mean, just go ahead. Just whoever can type the fastest.
I have an answer.
Ernie has 3 times. Well, he said 100% one time. Then he said all of them had Florida strain. It's not 100%, Ernie. It's not all of them.
There's our winner.
You have a winner?
Sweet.
Who's the winner?
I didn't even know you could do that.
How'd that happen?
I just clicked on it and it came up on the screen. How awesome is that?
Well, I don't see it on my feed.
Well, that's because you're delayed.
Oh, yeah, duh.
So David Prince is the winner. It rounds up to 34%.
34%.
Yep.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think everybody was surprised by that.
Yeah, I would have been like a couple percent, if that.
Yeah.
If any. I mean, a lot of guys would be like, really? I mean, that's even a question,
Yeah.
So, Buddy, it's over. Buddy, I think Buddy's gone from 74 to 92, but he's still going, All right, all right, guys. So we have a winner, David Prince. I feel like David might have won before.
Maybe. I don't even know how to get that off my screen.
Shoot us a message on our Facebook page with your shipping mailing information. We'll send it over to Bass, get you signed up for a BASS membership.
God, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
God.
It's not going off my screen yet. Oh yeah, I'm on a delay. So we'll send it over to Bass. If you're already a member, then wow, it sure enough does, man. That's pretty cool.
Watch it when it goes off; it'll kind of fly off.
Yeah, that's
Man, I
pretty
love
neat.
technology. That's
You didn't even know how you did it.
I didn't know it did it. I know how it did it.
Okay.
I didn't know it did it.
Got
Now
you.
I know.
Got you.
So now everybody's gonna get posted.
So, David.
win.
Oh, and just FYI, guys, on our BASS membership giveaways, if you have a family member, if you're already a member, and you can either have it extended another year, or if you have a family member or a friend or somebody that you want to get them on, and you're already a member, just send us their shipping information so we can get them signed up. So either way, whatever works. But guys, thanks for watching.
See that? It just did it again. See, John Long made an awesome comment.
So you decided to throw it up on the screen.
Exactly.
Jeff is a true hero. I'm not going to
Thank you,
disagree
John.
with that, because without Jeff, the show does.
Look at this. Go, Jeff, go. Look at that.
I do not.
This
Anthony.
is a feature that I probably shouldn't have found.
Yeah.
This is great. Thank you, Shadberg.
All right, so Nick, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
man.
thank you, guys.
Yeah, this was pretty awesome deal. A little different for us, but we definitely need to hear a lot of that information. And
Thank you, Andy.
lot. Are you done?
No.
Are you done yet?
I might stay on here for another 30 minutes, guys.
If y'all keep sending in positive comments about Jeff, he's going to be in the studio all night, just
I'm
making
telling
them big and sitting
I
there.
do. We do have upgraded equipment too. I just got to get around to actually put it in. Like it's just going to be awesome.
Oh, so that will
But
go
now
back.
I don't know if I want to upgrade.
Yeah,
Lose these features.
that'll go back to the what we were talking about. We had some feedback about the YouTube. Some of the YouTube shows being a little grainy. That's just
That's because it's streaming.
Right, yeah.
So, but yeah, we've great beard, Jeff. Hang on, that's awesome.
Oh, one more thing. Do you
Thanks,
care?
Bill.
What's up?
We're trying to put together a bass summit ahead of the MLF event next spring, when they come, or the Bass Pro Tour when they come back to the Harris
Oh, down in Raleigh.
Falls.
Yeah. Yep.
So look for that. We want to hear from y'all. We want a big turnout from our bass anglers to talk about some of this stuff with the actual people that do the science.
Yeah.
That can answer the questions in person, real time. So
That would
y'all
be
look
cool.
for that to come.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Yeah, I'm on board. If I'm in town, I'd love to be a part of that. All right, so okay, yeah, pop that one up there.
No,
big boy.
No.
All right, guys.
Yes, Andy Baker. That LTF page is fine, or you can hit me up personally. Either way.
Guys, thanks again for watching. Nick, thanks again for being on. We having a show next week, Jeff? Are you here next week? Next Tuesday?
I think so.
I think Smoke's going to be in the house. I'll double check with Brian. We plan to be back next Tuesday, guys. We can't go fishing. We're going to sit right here in the studio and do what, Jeff?
We're going to sit right here and talk fish.
You got it right. Thrift's not here. See y'all next week.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Fish. Visit our private Facebook group to continue the conversation, post your questions, and talk with other fellow anglers at facebook.com/groups/Let's Talk Fish. Follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk Fish Official and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exclusive content. Join us again next episode for more actionable tips, tactics, and techniques directly from the pros. And remember, when we can't go fishing, we're going to sit right here and talk fish.